Scientists just hit the delete button on everything believed about the Treasury at Petra.
So what'd you find? We think we have an entrance to something here.
And it's just got these big blocks in front of it?
Yeah, it's been sealed up.
Is that a tomb? What is that? I mean, why do we have to wonder?
New radar scans have pierced the sandstone to reveal a secret network of rooms and tunnels that rewrite ancient engineering. Experts used to mock the idea of advanced tools, but drone radar just proved them wrong by finding impossible geometry buried deep underground.
Most of these rooms you see, they're either flat floors or they carve into the floor.
Yes, but this is something different. They could be really solving all the issue about
The age of this.
The results are startling for anyone who wants to keep history the way it is. Secret layers that have stayed hidden for 2,000 years are finally coming to light. Hands down, this is the biggest find in decades. Engineering that broke the rules. Petra rises from the Jordanian desert like a miracle carved in stone, reaching 140 feet into the sky. It was hewn directly out of the rock, marking the end of a story rather than the beginning. While celebrated as a masterpiece of ancient engineering, this city once featured cascading fountains, hidden pools, and monuments taller than a 10-story building. Builders worked without scaffolding, without blueprints, and without ever stepping back to see the full view. When a drone equipped with 100 times deep penetration radar scanned the oldest structure, scientists froze. Beneath the perfect evenness and earthquake-proof geometry, the radar revealed unnatural voids and buried layers that should not exist in solid rock. No inscriptions, no tools, and no rubble were found, just a design that seems impossible for the time. When engineers first scanned the Treasury using high-resolution tools in 2023, the goal was to confirm that the Nabateans used basic subtraction techniques. Instead, the scans showed measurements so perfect that researchers thought the software was broken. The facade is 25 meters across and 39 meters high, yet it is even to within 20 millimeters. This level of accuracy is usually only seen with laser-guided tools or industrial machines. However, this was carved 2,000 years ago by people standing on cliff edges, cutting downward into sandstone with bronze tools. The only way such harmony can exist is if the builders understood complex math like the golden ratio before the first cut was ever made. This means they had a detailed plan for every single inch of stone removed. A major puzzle for every archaeologist is the top-down carving method. When carving from the top down, a builder cannot step back to check the work. There is no spot inside the narrow canyon that allows someone to see the whole front of the building. Modern architects need drones and three-dimensional models to keep things straight on tall buildings. The Nabateans supposedly did this without even being able to see the structure they were making. One of the strangest finds came when tool marks were studied. Every chisel strike looks almost exactly the same in depth and angle. It looks like it was done by a machine rather than a human hand. Experts say that human hands naturally get tired and change their rhythm, but Petra shows no human wobble at all. Some people think the Nabateans used early geometric methods similar to those the Romans used later, but no evidence exists that this knowledge was in the region yet. Others suggest they used an unknown type of stone template, but no pieces of such a thing have been found. What is certain is that 8,500 cubic meters of sandstone were removed with a consistency that should not be possible without modern machinery. This fact is what starts the deeper mystery of the city. Once the precision is accepted as impossible, the focus shifts to the strange sounds inside the stone. Everything changes when the acoustic secrets of the carved chambers are finally tested. Water magic in the dust. There is a strange event inside Petra that archaeologists rarely talk about, and tourists usually find by accident. Inside the chambers behind the Treasury or the carved tombs, sound does not echo. It does not bounce off the walls like it should. Instead, it stays suspended and vibrates with a clarity that feels unnatural. Acoustic engineers who studied the buildings in 2019 found that the rooms have sound profiles like modern concert halls. The big catch is that these rooms were not built by adding walls. They were made by taking stone away. Creating sound like this is not an accident. It requires knowing exactly how much stone to remove and at what angle to cut the walls before the project starts. In Roman theaters, engineers used sloped seats and curved walls to help sound travel. At Petra, the builders did the same thing by subtracting matter. Researchers from MIT analyzed the sound waves in 2021 and reached a chilling conclusion. The builders intentionally tuned the stone using a technology that is now lost. They seem to have controlled how sound moves inside the rock to make chanting or speeches sound better. In the urn tomb, a whisper near the back wall can be heard clearly across the entire front porch. This is a feature that cannot even be seen from the outside. Predicting these sound effects without being able to see the whole project is a massive mystery. Some think they used vibrating plates to see frequency patterns in sand, but there is no proof these tests existed there. Even if they did, translating those patterns into a rock-cut room without making a mistake is nearly impossible. Moving away from the sound, the water systems are just as confusing. Long before reaching the main building, small stone channels appear in the cliffs. They look like natural grooves, but they are part of a very advanced water control system. Petra only gets about 4 inches of rain per year, making it a very dry place. Yet in the past, it supported tens of thousands of people and even had gardens and pools. In 2015, experts mapped the underground water systems using ground radar and satellite scans. They found a huge network of hidden tanks, ceramic pipes, and pressure valves. These were made with such care that they could keep water flowing at the same speed for miles over bumpy ground. The channels were even coated in waterproof plaster and had traps to catch dirt so the pipes would not clog. This technology was not expected to show up in that area for another 1,000 years. One main pipe carved into the cliffs only drops 30 meters over a 7-kilometer distance. Keeping that kind of slope perfect requires modern tools that the Nabateans supposedly did not have. Some parts of the water system cut through solid rock in ways that suggest the builders already knew what was under the surface. There are no mistake tunnels or test holes. Every cut hits the target. It is as if the planners knew exactly where the soft layers and water seams were without using seismic tools. Some people now think they inherited this knowledge from an even older culture. Just like the Treasury, the people left no records explaining how the system was designed. This high level of engineering also helped the city stay standing during massive disasters. The way the city handled the shaking earth is a key detail that can shock most people. Built to never fall. Petra sits in a place where the ground shakes often. The Dead Sea Fault is less than 60 kilometers away, and history shows that at least 5 major earthquakes hit the area between the 1st and 8th centuries. By all rules of physics, the monument should be a pile of rocks. Tall walls carved from brittle sandstone are very easy to break during an earthquake. Yet the Treasury and the monastery are still standing while the newer Roman buildings nearby fell down. In 2014, a study looked at how cracks move through the stone at Petra. They found that stress cracks stop suddenly at specific spots in the carvings. Instead of breaking the whole building, these spots act like shock absorbers. They soak up the energy from the earthquake instead of letting it destroy the facade. Modern buildings use special joints and flexible layers to do this, but Petra has these features carved directly into the rock. Some columns are not actually fully attached to the cliff. Certain corners float a tiny bit away from the back wall. These are not mistakes, they are intentional gaps that allow the building to move a little bit when the ground shakes. The patterns on the columns also help reduce the vibration. Seismologists call this passive dampening, which is an idea only really studied in the 20th century. The most amazing detail is hidden under the ground. Radar scans show that several big buildings have empty chambers carved behind the visible surface. These voids make the structure lighter and lower the load during an earthquake. This is very similar to how modern skyscrapers are built with hollow parts to stay strong. There is no artistic reason for these rooms, and they were not used for burials. Their only job is to keep the building from falling. No ancient books describe this trick. Some researchers think the builders learned this over a long time, while others think the knowledge came from a lost civilization. What makes it even more confusing is that the later buildings at Petra do not use these tricks, and those buildings are the ones that failed. Walls cracked and roofs fell in the newer sections. The advanced seismic logic was only used on the most perfect and oldest monuments. This means the technology actually got worse over time instead of getting better. This brings up a massive question about where all the leftover stone went. When a 10-story building is carved out of a mountain, there should be a huge pile of trash. The question of where all that rock disappeared to is putting it lightly. Forbidden chambers under the sand. Where did 8,500 cubic meters of rock go? Most people never ask this, but once they do, it becomes a huge mystery. The Treasury alone required the removal of enough stone to fill 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Yet there is no giant pile of rubble or trash anywhere near the site that matches the stone. In other ancient places like Egypt or Greece, the leftover stone is still lying exactly where the workers left it. Petra is unnervingly clean. In 2020, a team tried to find the missing stone using soil analysis and aerial mapping. They found a few mounds, but the stone did not match the grain or color of the Treasury. So here's the deal. Was the stone taken far away on purpose? One idea is that it was used to build other things in the city, but the math does not add up. Petra was not a city of freestanding buildings. Most of it was carved into the hills. Another theory is that the rock was crushed to make cement, but there is no proof of that happening on a large scale. The puzzle gets even weirder when looking at the newer buildings. Those monuments have piles of rubble and trash around them. Only the oldest and best-made ones are missing their debris. This points to a level of planning that is far beyond what anyone expected. The silence of the stones is another big issue. In most ancient places, big buildings have big stories carved on them. Egyptian temples are covered in writing. Roman buildings have plaques and dates. But at Petra, the largest buildings say nothing. The Nabateans were good at keeping records and left thousands of notes on smaller tombs and altars. However, there is not a single word about the Treasury. No one wrote down who built it or why. This absence of writing is never seen before in history. Some think it was a religious rule to keep it blank, while others think the Nabateans did not actually build it. There is some evidence that the grand buildings were there before the Nabateans arrived. Their writing shows up mostly on the smaller, lower-quality tombs. Under special lights, archaeologists found faint marks under the smooth surface of the Treasury. These marks are not Nabatean. They look like a writing system that is 1,000 years older. In 2022, a magnetic survey found even more strangeness. Compasses start to drift up to 6 degrees near certain parts of the Treasury. This is not caused by iron in the stone because the rock is the same as the areas where compasses work fine. These magnetic shifts are only found near the most perfect parts of the architecture. Some think the builders knew about magnetic flows, while others think the stone was exposed to high energy in the past. Drone radar has now seen similar shifts in parts of the ground that have not been dug up yet. It seems that whatever is causing this is hidden deep underground. The tools used for this work are also missing. After a century of digging, almost no construction tools have been found. The few bronze chisels that were discovered are too weak to make the clean lines seen on the walls. It is as if the tools were taken away with surgical care. What if the Treasury is actually a giant key to an underground world? Could a lost civilization be hiding right under our feet? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe so you do not miss the reveal when they finally open those sealed chambers.